Imagine standing in your own neighborhood park, your children at your side when police close in like you're a suspect. Their voices sharp, their questions cutting. Is this really your mom? Do you even know her full name? Phones are out, neighbors are watching, and in seconds the world has already decided you don't belong. That's exactly what happened to Danielle Brooks. What should have been a simple afternoon of football and laughter with her sons turned into an interrogation under the hot sun, all because one HOA neighbor picked up the phone. But before the officers ever laid hands on her, it started with a visor, a clipboard, and Patricia Harlow's voice. "Excuse me." The voice sliced through the summer air, sharp and commanding. Danielle Brooks turned from the wooden bench where her sons, Marcus and Eli, were tossing a football back and forth, their laughter ringing across the manicured HOA park. Standing at the edge of the path was a woman in a pastel blazer and white visor, a leather clipboard hugged to her chest like it was a badge of honor. "This is Silver Creek Homeowners Association Park," the woman declared, chin raised high. "Members only. Guests must be accompanied. And we've already had complaints." Danielle kept her smile polite but cool. "We live on Alder Lane, lot 27. The woman didn't blink. Her eyes dropped to the boys and lingered there a little too long. "And those children?" Her visor tipped toward Marcus, who was sketching between passes, and Eli, bouncing on his toes. "Are they with you?" Marcus's pencil froze mid-stroke. Eli edged closer to his mother's leg. "They're my sons," Danielle said evenly. Her voice held no room for doubt. "If you need proof, I have our HOA fob right here." "I don't need anything." The woman sniffed. "I'm Patricia Harlow, HOA compliance chair. We've had vandalism, graffiti, noise, strangers loitering, and I saw you filming other children." She jabbed a manicured finger at Marcus's sketchbook. "It's a sketchbook," Danielle replied softly. "He's drawing." Patricia's smile thinned into something sour. "Park rules prohibit unsupervised ball play outside the designated lawn area, food on benches, and—" She leaned toward the signboard theatrically. "Intimidating behavior. You people can't just—" Danielle reached into her tote, pulled out the small black fob, and tapped it against the gate post. The light blinked green. She raised it so Patricia could see. "We're authorized," Danielle said evenly. "Have a nice day." But Patricia was already raising her phone. "Yes, Silver Creek HOA security. We need officers dispatched. Trespass. Possible kidnapping. A woman here is acting erratically. 2 minors who don't appear related. Yes, yes, I feel unsafe." Have you ever seen a neighbor weaponize the police with a single phone call? One lie, and suddenly you're painted as a trespasser, even a kidnapper, right in front of your own children. Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where our viewers are tuning in from. And if you believe HOA power trips and false 911 calls should never decide someone's future, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc, because exposing abuse of authority starts here. Marcus's shoulders stiffened. Eli's hand clutched Danielle's. She crouched low, meeting their eyes. "Hey, eyes on me. We're okay." Patricia stepped into the shade of the gazebo, pacing like a dispatcher. "Dark SUV in the lot. Matches a theft bolo last week," she added, voice raised so half the park could hear. Heads turned. The story was already being written against them. Danielle exhaled slowly, steady as stone. She'd been here before. Different place, same script. The sound of tires crunching against gravel made Danielle's stomach tighten. 2 patrol cars rolled through the HOA gate, their blue and white paint catching the sunlight. Engines idled, heavy and deliberate, as if meant to set the tone before the officers even stepped out. Patricia straightened proudly at the gazebo, phone still in her hand, her lips curling into a satisfied smirk. Parents at nearby picnic tables hushed their children. A few phones tilted upward, already recording. Officer Trent Lawson was the first to emerge. He adjusted his belt, scanning the park with a look Danielle knew all too well, suspicion disguised as professionalism. His partner, Officer Dana Mitchell, followed, flanking slightly to the side, body angled to cut off escape routes. Neither officer gave Patricia more than a glance. Their focus zeroed in on Danielle and her sons. "Afternoon, ma'am," Lawson said, his tone clipped and cold. "We got a report of suspicious activity and possible trespass at this HOA park. Mind answering a few questions?" Danielle kept her hand firm on each of her boys' shoulders. "There's no suspicious activity here. We live in this community. We're residents, using the park like anyone else. Lawson's eyes narrowed, then shifted to Marcus and Eli. His smile turned false, stretched tight across his face. Hey there, boys. Is this your mom? Do you know her full name? Marcus straightened his back, his voice clear and proud. Of course, she's Dr. Danielle Brooks. Eli chimed in quickly, eager to defend his mother. Yeah, Dr. Brooks. She catches bad guys. Lawson ignored that last part. He rose back up, face hardening. Ma'am, I'll need to see some ID. His eyes slid toward the parking lot, toward Danielle's SUV. And that vehicle matches the description of one involved in recent HOA theft reports. I'll need registration, too. The lie was so transparent, Danielle almost laughed. Instead, her jaw tightened. Calm, clear, on record. Officer Lawson, she said, deliberately reading the nameplate on his chest, you and I both know that's not true. We are residents, and you have no probable cause to go fishing through my registration in a private park. Last chance, Mitchell said, edging left, positioning herself to close Danielle's escape. Her voice carried an edge sharper than Lawson's. Produce ID, or we continue this conversation downtown. The boys pressed closer against her sides. Danielle drew a slow breath, her voice steady. My ID is in my bag. I'm reaching for it now. She moved deliberately, her every motion clear. Then Lawson's hand shot out, clamping down on her wrist with unnecessary force. The entire park seemed to freeze. Lawson's fingers dug into Danielle's wrist, hard enough to bruise. The gesture wasn't about safety. It was about control, about showing the crowd who held power here. Danielle's training took over before thought could. She twisted sharply, breaking his grip in a clean motion, then stepped back, shifting her sons behind her with her free arm. Her stance widened, center of gravity low, body angled like a shield. Gasps rippled across the park. Phones lifted higher. Children froze mid-play, their parents pulling them close. Patricia leaned forward in the gazebo, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. Do not put your hands on me, Danielle said. Her voice had changed. The warmth of a mother was gone, replaced by the clipped authority of someone who had faced worse than this. Lawson scowled, embarrassment flashing across his features. He reached for the taser at his belt, while Mitchell moved in fast, arms outstretched to grab her. Danielle moved like water. Years of training surged to the surface. She sidestepped Lawson's grip, seized his wrist, and used his own momentum to send him stumbling past her. In one fluid motion, she twisted his arm up behind his back until the taser clattered to the grass. Mom, Marcus's voice cracked with both fear and awe. Stay back, boys, Danielle ordered, steady but firm. Remember what we practiced. Safe distance. Mitchell recovered quickly, charging at her with a reckless grab. Danielle released Lawson with a shove, dropped low, and swept Mitchell's legs out from under her. She hit the ground hard, breath rushing from her lungs in a groan. Phones were raised higher now, the crowd widening in a circle around them. Someone shouted, "Get them, sister!" Others murmured in disbelief, struggling to process what they were witnessing in this pristine HOA park. Lawson scrambled back to his feet, face red with rage and embarrassment. His hand darted toward his holstered gun. Danielle didn't give him the chance. She closed the distance in a blink, driving her elbow into his solar plexus. The blow forced the air from his chest with a violent gasp. He doubled over, and Danielle used his imbalance to execute a perfect hip throw. Lawson flew over her shoulder and crashed flat on his back, the grass quaking under his weight. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mitchell staggered up, pulling a baton. She swung it in a wild arc. Danielle blocked with her forearm, trapping the weapon against her body, then twisted it free and tossed it aside like it was nothing. Stand down, she commanded, her voice echoing across the silent park. You're making this worse for yourselves. But Mitchell snarled, throwing a desperate punch. Danielle slipped it easily, countering with a sharp jab to her throat that left her choking and stumbling backward. She followed with a precise sweep of Mitchell's back knee, collapsing her to the ground again. Lawson rose once more, fury twisting his face, and rushed forward recklessly. Danielle met him head-on, blocking his strike and unleashing 3 rapid blows to his ribs. His body buckled. With one final motion, she hooked his arm and slammed him face down into the grass, locking him in a painful armbar. Mitchell tried to rise, but Danielle's boot pressed between her shoulder blades, pinning her in place. Both officers were immobilized, their weapons scattered. The HOA park was silent except for the heavy breathing of the men beneath her and the relentless click of cameras capturing every second. Lawson groaned under the weight of his own humiliation, cheek pressed into the grass. Mitchell wheezed beneath Danielle's boot, struggling but helpless. The manicured HOA park, meant for frisbees and picnics, had become a stage, and every parent, every child, every phone was locked on the same scene. Unbelievable, someone whispered. Patricia's smug composure cracked completely. She hovered at the edge of the gazebo, eyes darting from the crowd to the pinned officers, her phone still trembling in her hand. This wasn't the spectacle she'd wanted, but it was one she couldn't control. Danielle kept her stance low and steady, her voice booming across the open field. You two had no cause, no probable suspicion, and now you've assaulted me in front of witnesses. Lawson thrashed under her hold, his voice muffled in the dirt. You're resisting. You're under arrest. A ripple of laughter spread through the watching parents. Someone muttered, "Yeah, right," loud enough for the whole park to hear. Danielle tightened her grip on his arm until he hissed. You don't get to flip this. Not today. Mitchell tried one last effort to push up, but the weight of her boot forced her flat. Her breath came in ragged gasps, the fight leaving her body. Blue and red lights flickered at the far end of the park. Back up. Engines rumbled closer, more officers spilling through the HOA gate, their radios crackling. The crowd tensed, phones still raised. Children pressed into their parents' sides, wide-eyed. Danielle didn't move from her position. She released Lawson's arm only long enough to reach inside her jacket. Her hand came out with a leather case. She snapped it open, raising it high for everyone to see. The gold and blue glint caught the sun. Dr. Danielle Brooks, she declared, her voice iron. Federal Bureau of Investigation. These men assaulted a federal agent and endangered 2 minors. The crowd erupted, cheers cutting through the sirens. Dozens of phones zoomed in, recording every word, every angle of the badge shining above the HOA park. Lawson went still. Mitchell stopped struggling. Even the backup officers froze, hesitation flickering across their faces. Patricia's mouth fell open, the clipboard slipping from her arms and clattering to the concrete. Danielle stood tall, both officers pinned, her son safe behind her, her badge raised high for all to see. The HOA park had never been so quiet. If you believe no parent should ever have to fight off false arrests just to protect their kids, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc. Because standing up to HOA bullies and abuse of power starts with telling these stories.